The Grammys of 2025 was a night of many accomplishments and memories for the members of the music industry all across the world. However, one particular case stood out to members of the Caribbean music industry, and that's the fact that all of the nominees basically wasted their time and energy getting ready and taking a flight to the event, thinking that they actually even had a chance of winning the best reggae album of the year, only to be beaten out by someone who hasn't been here in over 4 decades. The legend himself, Bob Marley. And the people I'm referring to are of course Shenseea and Vybz Kartel. Now, truthfully speaking, a lot of people are upset about this because they feel like their favorite artists were robbed. But is that really true? And based on the criteria of what it takes to win a Grammy, did Bob Marley legitimately have a better shot than them? Or is this simply a result of something much darker behind the scenes and the effects of nepotism and corruption striking again? Well, to answer these questions, we need to first examine what exactly a Grammy Award is and how an artist achieves one. The Grammy Awards is an annual show that was established in 1959 by the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences in order to give honor and recognize outstanding achievements across various musical genres. This went for many years, including more and more styles of music as time went along, and eventually, of course, in 1985, the Recording Academy introduced the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Recording, acknowledging the growing global influence of our Jamaican music. The Best Reggae Album category encompasses various styles associated with the genre, including quote-unquote subgenres like dancehall and ska. And so for the 2025 album nominees, they were as follows. The first album was Take It Easy by Collie Buddz. The second one was of course Party With Me by Vybz Kartel. The third was Never Gets Late Here by Shenseea. The fourth, Evolution by Wailers. And the fifth one being Bob Marley, One Love, which was made as the soundtrack for the controversial movie released in 2024. But how is it that we can determine which of these albums is most eligible? Well, there is a specific criteria that each album needs to follow. Firstly, the album must have been released within a specific time period, which typically runs from October 1 of the previous year to September 30 of the current year. Secondly, the album must contain more than 75% playing time of newly recorded, meaning within 5 years of the release date, and previously unreleased recordings. Now, considering the Bob Marley album is literally just mostly old repackaged music, I'm not really sure how they were able to get around this, but obviously they must have found some kind of loophole, so whatever. After these criteria are determined, the recordings are then submitted to the Grammys for consideration, and the submissions are then reviewed by more than 350 quote-unquote experts to ensure that they meet specific qualifications and are placed in their appropriate categories. Now, it's important to note that this process does not involve any type of artistic evaluation, but mostly focuses on just proving the eligibility of the submission in the first place, as well as what category it's supposed to belong to. However, the artistic evaluation part comes when all the members have a vote to determine the nominees out of all of the submissions that they had received. And based on the research I've done, the committee members are quote-unquote encouraged only to vote in their area of expertise. I want you to keep this in mind. They're able to vote in up to 10 different categories across 3 different genres, plus the votes for the general awards like Overall Song of the Year, Album of the Year, etc. After the nominations are announced, a final vote is held to select the winners, and this is where the magic happens. The ballots are apparently tabulated by an independent accounting firm to ensure some kind of fairness, and the recording with the most votes in a category wins. In the event of a tie, all tied nominees are considered winners. So we understand that these albums are being chosen by people on a committee based purely on what they believe their quote-unquote expertise is, as opposed to any sort of significant data. Things like numbers or fan base strength or even cultural impact mean absolutely nothing in this case. An album could be the best thing ever for the people it was made for, but because the people on a committee did not like or understand it, it could go completely under the radar. But again, more on that later. What we're going to focus on right now is exactly who is on the voting committee. Now, of course, there is no official proof of anything based on the fact that members are typically kept confidential to maintain the integrity of the voting process. However, a lot of people have it to say that members of the Marley family and their associates are on this board. This is because almost every single year since the 2000s, a member of the Marley family is almost always the person to win the award. This is not to say that they don't make good music. However, I'm sure that there are other artists who could have gotten a chance to shine in some of these years. For example, Damian Marley won in 2006, Ziggy Marley won in 2007, Stephen Marley won in 2008, he won again in 2010, at the same time as Ziggy Marley, who also won in 2010 for a different award. 2012 Stephen, 2014 Ziggy, 2015 Ziggy, 2017 Ziggy. And of course, in 2018, when there was a decision for Album of the Year in the eyes of fans between Chronology by Chronixx and Stony Hill by Damian Marley, it was no surprise that Damian was the winner. Now, some people may point out that between 2019 and 2023, no Marleys won the award. However, that's probably just because only like 2 albums were released in that entire span of time. So yeah, of course they didn't win if they weren't really releasing anything. Now, I am not saying that these wins are 100% undeserved or something, or that the music is not good. There are many people who legitimately think that Damian Marley's album was better than Chronixx, or that whoever won in what year just simply had the better music. However, and you might not have missed this, what I'm really trying to highlight is that in all of the names I covered a while ago, bias or not, if you really pay attention, you will notice that not once did you hear me mention a single dancehall artist. In fact, since the reggae category was first established in 1985, there have only ever been 4 times in the past 40 years where a dancehall artist has won the award, and only a handful more of times where one was even considered. These 4 wins are shared between Beenie Man, Shabba Ranks, Shaggy, and Sean Paul. In fact, the last time a dancehall artist won this award was in 2004 with Sean Paul's Dirty Rock. Keep in mind that this is literally at the start of Vybz Kartel's stardom. So you're telling me that since Vybz Kartel became a star and had a 2-decade-long run in the game, that not one time was even he acknowledged until now? All of the major players in the game, like Kartel, Popcorn, Alkaline, etc., have never once even been so much as acknowledged by the Grammys. In fact, Spice just got her first nomination in 2022 after her career had already been going on for decades, and she's a big woman now. Kartel is literally the favorite artist of people who have won countless Grammys like Cardi B, and the inspiration for men like Drake. And just now in 2025, when he's close to retirement age, now he's getting a nomination. Him didn't even win, just a nomination, bro. If you think that the Marley family has been robbing everyone in the reggae industry for years, and there's some sort of corruption behind the scenes to not give other artists a chance to shine, that's one thing, because that's reggae competing with reggae. And honestly, nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes. However, what I'm more interested in is why after so many years, billions of views, and immeasurable global influence, that dancehall is still being swept under the rug by an organization that claims to support and acknowledge a diverse array of music disciplines. I mean, seriously, no disrespect to the reggae fans out there, but majority of the consumers in the Caribbean are not listening to Bob Marley on a daily basis. I don't know who is sitting down on this committee and thinking they're a quote-unquote expert on our culture, but if an old white man is going to tell me what the best reggae album is, I think we have officially lost the point of this whole thing. And even if it's not an old white man, nobody can look me in my face and tell me that there are actual Jamaicans who are living in the culture and observing the actual impacts it has on music on this committee, because there is no humanly possible way that you can have somebody who has been referred to as the king of dancehall across the globe just now being acknowledged for an award. That is insanity. Even if you want to blame it on things like homophobia or political incorrectness, Kanye literally came out and said things that I dare do not say in this video, and he was nominated for Best Rap Song with Carnival, as well as countless other artists who have said crazy politically incorrect and problematic things, and probably even have allegations on their name and still are being nominated. So I promise you, once you have enough ratings and respect, they do not care, and that's just it. They clearly do not respect us. Some people might say, oh, it's because dancehall is lewd and nasty. Do you really think that these American people give a flying shit about morals? Do you know the things that they do on a daily basis and pass off as normal? And as people who listen to rap music ourselves, are you really gonna tell me that rap is any cleaner than dancehall? Seriously? Rick Ross out here talking about putting Marley in girls' champagne and still getting nominated for awards. And so there is literally no excuse and no justification for what's going on right now. Can you imagine how it feels to see a genre move so far and evolve so many times over, influencing so many millions of people, and yet have all of the important works and evolutions and contributions all ignored, only to be beaten out by an album full of songs from 40 years ago? It's basically telling you that no matter what you do, you will never win. And even a repackaged album compilation of old songs that everyone has already heard 1,000 times that was purely made to be a movie soundtrack will beat out your best work that you spent your heart, soul, and millions of dollars investing into. It's the message that no matter how hard you try, the system will always win. And it's a terrible message for our youth who have big dreams and goals to have in their heads. Nobody benefits from this Bob Marley win. Not him, not the artist, and definitely not the culture. But like I said, this is again purely because dancehall is not seen as important enough to be given its own category. And if you want to find out why, I will be doing a deep dive into this and explaining why dancehall is supposedly not recognized as an official genre of its own. So if you want to see that video, subscribe to the channel, and in the meantime, watch the video on your screen right now about what Kendrick Lamar did to Drake at the Grammys and the full history behind their 10-year-long beef. And as always, the dancehall has been decoded.